even on his Instagram, his Facebook, how he has been helping a lot of people. What it does is to inspire people and to guide people on their travel abroad journey. Like his passion is to make sure that you get the opportunity, because he got like the opportunity of getting scholarships to study abroad, and is giving back to his community by teaching people, inspiring them to also get access to this information. And that is sustainability. He's someone that cares, and because he cares, that is why he gives back to his community. And that is why when I called upon him, he was willing to answer. See, most of the thing he's going to talk about here are things that are being paid for. Like, people pay a lot of money to get this information. But when I reached out to him, he was willing to come give us this information free of charge. We are not paying anything to get this information. So that is someone that cares, someone that is interested in making impact in his community. So I would love to introduce to you guys Mr. Frederick from the Fred Effect. Thank you, sir.
Hi everyone, bro. Thank you for the opportunity to also be impactful as well. My name is Frederick, and if this is your first time of meeting me, I am originally from Ghana. I schooled at the University of Cape Coast in Ghana. I had the opportunity to move to Ohio University for my first master's, and I did my second master's in another U.S. institution where I got my public administration master's degree. So I, for over the years, for almost like half a decade now, I've had opportunity to assist thousands of people to go through a similar process, because I went through some sort of challenges before getting to the university and the program I was studying. I made it easier that, okay, if I was able to go through, notwithstanding my background in terms of finances, I'm not from a very good you know, a very rich family. So most people think that to be able to study abroad, you need to know someone abroad, or maybe be from a very good family financially, because they need to have the resources to support you. I am not from a good family. Neither, is the notion that you need to necessarily have a first class to be able to study abroad. Now, the opportunity to study abroad, to study abroad gives you like a whole lot of opportunities as well. So the opportunity to study abroad gives you other opportunities as well. So notwithstanding your background, whether you have a bachelor's degree, whether you have a high school certificate, there are lots of universities out there. The sky is huge. You don't have to limit yourself to the country in which you're from. There are a lot of countries around the world, and education happens to be one of the ways that you can use to move from your current location. So I stayed in my village for a very long time. I moved out of my village for the first time because I was attending high school in a different city or a different region in my home country. Now, when I finished, I completed high school, I was able to move to Central Region for the first time, Cape Coast, because of education. Now, I was able to move to the United States for the first time because of the same education. So, the formal education provides a good opportunity for people like some of us who are not from a family where we have relatives abroad, or from a rich family, to also be able to explore the world as well. Now, looking at the means to go about this whole study abroad process, different countries have different criteria and processes of doing it. Now, my main focus has been on how can people who do not have the money or the resources be able to pursue the same thing. And one of the countries that make life a bit easier when it comes to study abroad, especially with scholarships, happen to be Canada and then the US. So most of my content has been focused on that. And at the moment, I have close to half a million followers across my social media platforms, because I share my journey and how people can do it, and in a more inspirational way. Yes, of course, if it was easy, everybody would have done it. It's not cheap as people make it seem. It's not easy as people make it seem. But is it possible? Yes, it is. Are you the first person to travel or study abroad? No, you're not. Would you be the last person? No, you'll not be. So it is highly possible you can do it. Now, when you have an opportunity to interact with people who have been through the path you want to go through, you don't have to make the mistakes they made, right? So it makes it easier when you listen to people who have been through the journey you want to go through. You will not be the first person to have a scholarship. In fact, you wouldn't be the first person from Nigeria or whichever country you are to move abroad to study. People have done it. People continue to do it. So is it possible for you to do it? Yes. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not. But if it is possible, then you take the step to do it. So today, let's have a discussion on how, if you have a high school qualification, if you have a bachelor's degree, how you can study abroad on a full scholarship. Now, I'm going to start with the documents you need. So when it comes to documentations, it differs from country to country. I'm going to actually limit my conversation around studying in Canada and also the US. Because I happen to be in the US and have gone through the process, have had the opportunity to assist thousands of people to go through and interacted with a lot of people who are working on the process. I am very conversant with the process based on experience and also assisting people. When it comes to the US, if you have a high school qualification or maybe you have a diploma, you have some sort of certificate, then you need a passport, obviously. You need a transcript from your high school. Normally, when you attend high school, in Africa, most of the institutions do not automatically generate a transcript for you as it is when you attend maybe a college or a university. So if you have the high school certificate, you can go back to your school and ask them to give you a transcript. Now, if you have the transcript, then you need an English proficiency letter. The good thing is that when you want to study, especially in the US or Canada, because you are from an English-speaking country, you do not necessarily have to sit for either an IELTS or a TOEFL. So you have to get a one-page document from your school which says that you did all your courses in English so you can speak and write English proficiently. And especially if you are from an English-speaking country, Kenya, Gambia, Ghana, Nigeria, it makes life more easier. So the next thing you need to think about is having what we call recommendation letters. So this could come from the institution you graduated from, either from your high school or any person in position who will be willing to give you a recommendation letter. So transcript, certificate, passport, recommendation letter, and then the English proficiency letter. So if you're able to get this, depending on this university or college you want to apply to, other documents may be required, like writing an essay or maybe having an SAT or ACT. It depends on. Now, the good thing about studying in the US is that most of the universities do not require you to pay an application fee. So the US has like 50 states. There are lots of colleges and universities that are ready to admit you if only you are ready to apply. Now, another good thing is that in most countries, when you want to study at a college level, you need to wait for a specific semester, normally the fall semester or the semester that starts in August. But when it comes to these foreign countries, they are almost admitting all the time. So there is a fall semester which begins in August. There is a spring semester which begins in January. There is a summer semester which begins in May. And there are even some universities and colleges with what we call rolling admission. So what it means is that whenever you wake up from your bed and you want to study abroad, there is always a university to apply to. So some of these schools come with automatic scholarships. And of course, if it wasn't for scholarship, where I'm from, my family and my background wouldn't be able to pay for the education that I had here. So it was as a result of a scholarship that's why I was able to come here and also study. Now, when you want to study a graduate program, the good thing is that if you have a diploma, let's say a 3-year qualification, a bachelor's degree, you can apply for a master's degree. And sometimes with a bachelor's degree, you can apply straight into a PhD program, especially within the sciences. Now, the documents are a little bit more compared to applying for a bachelor's degree. So if you want to apply for a graduate program, you need at least 3 letters of recommendation, depending on the school. You need your certificate, you need your transcript. When it comes to the undergrad, mostly your transcript is generated as you go through your college education. So you need an English proficiency letter. Obviously, you should have a passport. And you write what we call an SOP or a statement of purpose. And it should also have a resume or a CV. when you get these documents, depending on the program you want to apply to or the university, they may require some other documents like a writing sample, maybe a GRE or GMAT, which can be waived for most of the schools. And then you make sure that you talk to somebody. Now, the good thing is, it's studying abroad is not like a try and error kind of process. Like when I was done with high school, I applied to about 3 universities in my home country, hoping and praying that I get admission. Now, when it comes to studying abroad, you need to talk to somebody in the university. So you have to contact somebody that, hey, my name is Fred Effect. I have this qualification. I'm interested in applying to, let's say, this program. Will I be given admission? Will I be considered for scholarship? Now, if you share your resume and your transcript with these admission officers, they will let you know based on your credentials whether you qualify or not. Now, there are some universities that will be very blunt with you that, okay, we can give you admission, but unfortunately, we can't give you scholarship. So depending on what they say, that will tell you whether you should go ahead and apply to this institution or not. So I tell people that it's not a try and error process. There is a way to go about it. And of course, if you follow the right processes, getting admission and scholarship shouldn't be a big deal. There are a lot of universities ready to admit. The scholarships are there. And when it comes to the US especially, most of the times the scholarship is a job. So they employ you as a teaching, research, or graduate assistant. So they want people to occupy these positions. So definitely, people are graduating, the positions are becoming available. And so they want people to apply so that they'll give those positions to them. And the people who are studying abroad, like myself, are not more handsome than you, you do not have anything better than you. There are some of our classmates that were brilliant than us, but we took advantage of certain opportunities in order to be able to get here. I remember that when I did everything and then I needed money for flight ticket. It was some of my study group members who were willing to contribute money. And I knew that there were some of my study group members back in, the bachelor's degree University of Cape Coast, that were more brilliant than me, which means that the study abroad route is not for everybody who thinks that I'm super brilliant. You can do it. With your low CGPA, it is possible. With your background that you think that, okay, I don't have a good finances or financial support to be able to push me through. That is why scholarships are there. You can do it. So people are doing it, and I'm here to encourage you that, hey, there are several ways of relocating from your home country, but the easiest and the cheapest route is studying abroad. To get a scholarship, to be able to relocate to another country, to have a feel of their culture, and also to be impacted in terms of knowledge, it's a great opportunity. So yeah, I'll pause here and understand that I share most of the ideas and information on my various platforms. So if you go to YouTube, it's the Fred Effect. If you go to TikTok, the same thing, the Fred Effect. Instagram, the Fred Effect, and then Twitter, all other platforms is the Fred Effect. So I appreciate your time and thank you for inviting me to share my ideas and thoughts with you as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Frederick, for this insightful session. Joanne, up to you. Joanne,
Sorry,
please
can
take
you hear
over.
me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Frey. Thank you so much for that very impactful session. I'm sure that we all have benefited and we've gotten one or two information that will definitely help us in our day-to-day activities and also things that we can share to others that can also help them. So I want to say once again, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your knowledge with us. So now we're going to entertain questions. And like I said earlier, you can write your questions in the comment section or you can simply ask the questions directly by raising your hand and I'll call you and you can put forth your question. So we're taking questions right now. Okay, very good. Philadelphia. Okay. Jessica will get to you. Okay, so you can ask your question, Philadelphia.
Yeah, good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening
Fred.
once again.
Yeah, good evening, Joanne too. Oh yeah, okay. I have a question. Can I apply? Okay, this stuff I used to see online where you can apply while you're in school, maybe. Okay, for example, medical school. And can I start applying on time? Because these things most times it's not something you have to have. Sometimes you may apply once, you keep applying and you're not getting it. So you keep applying. Maybe can I apply maybe let's say from September or from any time? and maybe assuming I finally get a scholarship, I can defer the admission. My basic intention of applying is for masters actually, because I'm already in medical school and I'll be rounding up soon. But can I start applying now to to that effect? Or what do you advise I do at this moment or at this point in my life
That's a
where I
good question. So
get my master?
what happens is that you need some document to work on these application. So I mentioned the list of documents you need, for example, you who want to pursue a graduate program. So the point is that would you be able to get a transcript whilst you're still in school? Would you be able to get professors to recommend you whilst you're still in school? Now, if the answers to all these questions are yes, then of course you can definitely apply. So if you're able to lay hands on these documents that are required when submitting an application, then of course, bro, you can apply. That's a good question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your response. So we'll take the second person. I can see there are a lot of hands raised. So we'll start with Wochi. Wochi, you can ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, John and the Fed Effect. Okay, my first question is about the English proficiency letter. Do I really need to use the letter, or like can I've heard some people say that you can use your West African Examination Council English certificate, that's your WAEC English result, or do I need to write those IELTS and TOEFLs? Then the second question is, how do I get the contact of these admission officers you spoke of the university I want to apply for online? Thank you.
All right, so that's a good question. So the first one is because you're from Nigeria, and Nigeria is an English-speaking country. Um, you do not necessarily. It depends on the school and the college you're applying to. Some universities will make it a strict requirement that you still need to write the IELTS or TOEFL to prove your English proficiency. But a lot of the universities, when you have a one-page document from your school, remember the English proficiency letter should be different from the high school certificate you have, which your English results was on it. So that serves as a certificate, not an English proficiency letter. So you need to have a separate document. And I wish I could share a template, which just say that it's a very simple information. It carries, the letterhead of your university, maybe of your high school, maybe signed by the principal or anything like that. And then it says that Jessica attended this institution from this year to this year, did all her courses in English so she can speak and write English proficiently. She's from Nigeria, which English is the first language and all that. So this is a very simple document. So you cannot use your English results in your high school to serve as an English proficiency, but you need to have a separate document. In terms of how do you get the contact of these people that you need to contact, that's a good question. Now, the good thing is for most of the universities and colleges abroad, you can find all the lecturers, their names, their pictures, their phone numbers, and email addresses on the university's website. So it is so easy. I wish I could share my screen and do that right away for you to see. So it's very easy. All of them have their details there. Sometimes you can see their picture, their email address, and everything. Okay, I'm trying to see if I can share my screen, if I'm allowed to do that. John, can I please do that?
Yeah, I will confirm with Sekilani. Sekilani, Miss Sekilani.
Yeah, I think it's sharing the screen already.
Okay.
Okay, so this is, for example, one of the universities, Ohio University, and let's say I want to find out, the director of a program. I go to their programs, their graduate programs. Let's say something like economics. So when I search for the economics program, I'll go to the faculty members. So let's see, I click on this, and then I look for the faculty and then the directory. So these are all the lecturers in the department, their name, their phone numbers, their email address, everything is here. So you pick maybe the graduate chair who has a picture here, his name is here, his phone number is here, his email address, even the office number is here. So that is it. You can easily find it from the university's website. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your response. Jessica, I hope he covered your question entirely.
Yes, it is. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
great. So we have a lot of hands raised. Thank you so much, Jessica. So we're going to go to the next person, which is Charles. We have Charles here. His hand is raised. Please be patient with us. We're going to attend to everyone's question. So Charles, your question, please.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, actually, my question is based on the scholarship stuff. Well, I have already gotten admitted to a particular university, but kind of unfortunately, it's on partial scholarship base. So I want to know, like, is there any other way I could go about it, like trying to apply for external scholarships, but most of them that I could be able to reach out mainly for U.S. residents and citizens. So I'm trying to know, like, as a Nigerian, because I'm actually from Nigeria, so I'm trying to know if there are assurable opportunities that I could reach out to, and I'm sure to get the scholarship to cover for the remaining payments. Though I was offered partial scholarship, but it's still the cost is still
John, let me know if I can go ahead and answer.
Sorry, are you done with your question, Charles? I think he disconnected.
yeah,
Charles?
yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I say yes.
So, okay, you're done with your question. Okay, Mr. Fred, sorry, did you get his question?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, great.
So, Charles, first of all, congrats on your admission. Super proud of you. It's good that you had some scholarship. Now, before I answer your
Thank you,
question,
sir.
please, if you are interested in applying to any program, you don't have to finish with the application and get admission before you come and fight for scholarship. Remember that you could have reached out to the department, ask if you'll be given scholarship after your admission. So before I applied from Ghana, I typed an email to the director of the program. I asked that these are my credentials. When I apply, will I get admission? One, will I be given scholarship? It was when the director gave me a positive feedback that, okay, go ahead and apply. We'll give you admission. We'll give you scholarship. That is when I applied. So mostly the mistake that people make is that they don't contact anybody. They apply. Maybe the department do not have scholarship. Sometimes even in the same school, different departments give different scholarships. So in my university, for example, the Department of Mathematics, their graduate, their scholarship was such that people were paid around $1,000 every 2 weeks. My department was different. So you need to reach out first. Okay, so Charles, when you have admission, there are lots of other resources you can explore, but please let me know if it is for undergraduate or master's. Okay, Charles, are you there? Okay. That would have really helped me to narrow my answers. Okay, Charles, you're muted. If you're talking, we cannot hear you. Okay, I'm sorry. So maybe we can move on to the next person.
Okay, so Charles, you can simply write your question or anything you want to say down in the comment section. So the next person whose hand is raised is Boniface Kichuku. So we're going to take your question now, Boniface.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Please, my question is the transcript. Please, can he elaborate more on the transcript, like the details it contains, and I need your high school certificate or transcript. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fred, did you get the question?
Yeah, I did. So that's a
Okay,
good
great.
question. So the high school certificate is different from a transcript. You know, earlier I mentioned that in most African countries, when you finish with high school, unlike going to a university, you do not get an automatic transcript. So you need to go back to your high school and they are going to make one for you. So you have to go to your high school and they'll give you one.
Okay, thank you. Has he answered your question, Boniface? Okay,
I think
Chiku
he spoke
Boniface.
about he spoke about
Okay.
what it should contain. Yeah, so the transcript contain all the courses you took whilst you in your high school, and then what grades you had in them and all that. It would give you a total of a CGPA or maybe CWA.
Okay, thank you so much. Hopefully you have cleared her and her question. Okay, so we have someone here. The next person is Chetachi Ogazi. Okay, so we'll take a question now. Ogazi. Ogazi, are
Good
you here
evening.
with us?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
here.
good
I'm here.
evening.
I'm here. Yeah, sorry, I just joined the talk this evening, but I've been busy. So,
Okay, you're welcome.
thank you. My question is actually based on undergraduate. So, I've been going through some scholarships application only to find out that at a part of the process, I'll still be asked to like pay for some like pay part of it. So because most of the time I applied for one at Canada, this the University of Manitoba. I was given some different application processes from different agents about one school. So my question now is how can I get like a show link or a store application website where I can apply for the school? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Friend.
Question was not very clear. So, but if it's about how do you get the like an original link to apply to a school, obviously it's on the university's website. So, if for example the university that I just displayed, there is an apply button. There is an opportunity to select whether you're applying for a master's or you're applying for a PhD or undergrad. You click on that. You create an account mostly with your email address and then bio details like your age, your date of birth, and then your phone number, address, and stuff like that, and then you can create an account. So obviously, the university's original website should give you a good link to apply.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much for your response. Ogazi, I hope Mr. Fred already answered your question, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just clarify something. Like I should just search. Like I should Google the school. Then I'll see the apply button. Then like go through from there.
Yeah, when you Google the school, normally the link to the university's website will appear. You click on it, you visit the original university's website, and then you can go through the application requirements and then apply. That's how it works.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. So we will take questions from the comment section now since all hands raised have been attended to. So the first question here in the comment section says from Sophia, I once applied for a scholarship in North Georgia. I was told to send an official transcript to them. How will I go about it? I think Mr. Fred has covered that. Mr. Fred?
Yeah, so I've already responded to that.
Okay, great. So the next question here is the grades in the transcript, should it be from my final internal exams in the school or an external exam like WIAC? A question from Jessica.
That's a good one. It's supposed to be from the internal one that you had from, let's say, year one to year three, or sometimes to year four.
Okay. Jessica, I don't know if you're with us, but I hope he just answered your question. Jessica?
Yes, he did answer the question. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for your question and your participation. So we have another hand raised, if I'm not wrong. Mr. Charles, are you with us? Charles Emmanuel, your hand is raised.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay,
You
great.
were asking me a question. I was actually responding, but maybe it was due to network or something. So
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
I
so
said
sorry
it's
about that.
undergraduates. It's for undergraduates. Yeah.
Okay, so if it's for undergraduate, then there are a couple of ways. One, mostly to get a full scholarship for undergraduate when it comes to US and Canada especially, you need to have an exams called the SAT or the SAT exams. If you don't have that, most of the institutions will give you what we call the merit-based or partial scholarship. The second thing is that there are on-campus jobs. So you can apply for some of these on-campus jobs, which will give you additional money because as an international student, you can work, up to 20 hours on campus. The last thing, which most people do not know about, is what we call the CSS profile. Some universities qualify for you to tell them your family's financial stance, so that it will base on that to give you additional scholarship. So the one you got, and if you would confirm, it came automatically with your admission. That is a merit-based scholarship. If you complete a CSS profile and then you submit it, then they will add additional scholarship to what you have based on your financial circumstance as you produce in the CSS profile.
Okay. Thank you so much for your response.
Okay,
Charles?
o- okay, so okay, coming to that actually, is there no recommendation for external scholarship applications that one could apply to and kind of stick with the already given scholarship? Because they say that if you have external scholarship, that you can easily stick with the already given scholarship from the school. Sorry.
Yeah, so that would depend on, if I have an idea which university it is, that would depend on which state you are going to. And of course, when it comes to external scholarship, it would come from your home country. And also, the university may have some on their website, which sometimes you can only apply when you are already in the country, because there are some of the information that may be required that you can only have them when you're already in the US. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's
if you send me,
it's
because we cannot hijack the platform with only your questions, if you send me a private message on
yeah.
Instagram, we can continue from there, narrowing down to the specific college or university you gain admission into.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charles, for your question, and thank you, Mr. Fred, for answering. So the next person whose hand is raised here is Nina. Nina Chimobi, please, your question.
Okay, so good evening. I read in an article that said that if you get scholarship in the United States and then you're an art student, maybe studying theater arts, you can only be allowed to stay in the United States 1 year after your graduation. And if you're a science student, you're only allowed to stay 3 years. So my question is, if you get a job within that time frame, would you be allowed to like extend your stay?
Mr.
Can you
Fred?
please can you please repeat the question? I didn't get that.
Okay.
Okay, I said that I read in an article that said that if you study in the United States under scholarship, you're an international student, that after your 4 years course or whatever, that you're only allowed to stay in the United States a year or 3 years, depending whether you're science or art. So I'm asking, if you get a job in that time frame, can you extend your stay?
All right, that's a good
Miss,
question. So because
okay,
it's an
great.
educational background, educational platform, let's clarify things. So there is something we call OPT, that is optional practical training. As an international student, when you finish with your studies, whether it's an associate degree, a bachelor's degree, a PhD, or a master's, you have an opportunity to have a training or or to work, depending on whether you are in the STEM field or non-STEM field. So if you are in the sciences, technology, engineering, and mathematics field, then you have what we call 3 years of OPT. That is 1 year plus an additional extension of 2 years to work, not to stay, to work in the US under the optional practical training. So I'm sure that's what she's referring to. Now, if your program is a non-STEM, then you have a year to work in the US. So that is what she's referring to. However, when you enter the US with any category of visa, you have the opportunity to switch to other categories of visas. So, for example, as you're working, your employer says that you're good, and so they want you to stay. There are other categories of visas, EB2, EB3, H1B, that you can switch onto, that would extend your stay or end you up getting what we call a permanent stay or permanent residency. So yeah, it's possible.
Okay. Thank you so much for your response. I believe you have answered her question. So here in the comment section, Jessica is asking if it's possible to keep in touch with you, just in case there are more questions after the session.
It's super easy to get in touch with me. I'm very active on Instagram. The Instagram handle is
Okay.
the same name, the Fred Effect. It's a verified account. We have close
Okay.
to 14,000 followers at the moment. So yeah, you can
Okay.
always DM me on Instagram.
Okay, great. Charles, I can see here that you asked for his Instagram handle, so he has answered your question for that. Okay, thank you so much. So I'd like to know if there are more questions for Mr. Fred before I hand over to the guest, the other speaker, Mr. Kilani. Okay, you're welcome, Charles. Is there anyone else with any question of any sort that you'd like to ask Mr. Fred? Okay, there's a hand raised. Charles.
Okay. I'm kind of asking about in respect to as an undergraduate student that's applying to study in the US, like after getting a visa, the undergraduate course, and when someone is done with his undergraduate courses, and the person like at the end of the day, the person decided on furthering more for his masters. How is the person going to go about the visa processing again? Is the person going to be required to come back to his home country and start it over again, or is there any other processes like to continue while still in the United States or Canada?
Unfortunately,
Did
the
you get my
question was not clear, Charles. I don't know, John.
Charles,
Did you get a question?
I didn't really get the question. I was about to say that, Charles, if you can please write your question in the comment section, we'd appreciate that because you were not really clear. So please kindly write your question in the comment section. So we have someone else's hand raised here, which is
Okay,
Jessica.
thank you.
Jessica,
Okay, I'll do that.
thank you, Charles. Jessica.
Okay, thank you very much. So my question now is, must you have your passport before applying for the scholarship, or can you like try reprocessing your passport as you're applying for the scholarship, or after getting the scholarship, then you apply for a passport? Thank you.
Yeah, that's an
Thank you.
intelligent question. Jessica, how old are you? You ask very good questions. All right.
Thank you.
So,
I'm 15 plus.
wow. Okay. Okay. So
Thank
some
you.
universities give you the opportunity to apply. It is when the admission is ready and you have to move forward with I-20 and then visa processes that the passport issue will come in. However, most of the universities to identify you as an international student and which country you are from, because you have to know that it depends on which country you're from. Some of the requirements will depend on which country you're from. So if you're from a non-English speaking country, how do you prove that? You need to upload your passport so that they will know what requirement to ask of you from a certain country. So most universities would actually require that you upload a passport to show that you're an international student before you can submit your application. But for some, you can apply and later on, you'll be required to produce the passport. However, Jessica, to travel, you can't travel like you need a passport, my sister. You know? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you very
Mr.
much.
Fred. Thank you, Jessica, for the question. So we have another hand raised here. We have Chitachi. Chitachi, your question, please.
All right. I just want to be clear because I've been having some calls from foreigners, like from different schools I tried applying for. So I wanted asking based on this passports of a thing that she just mentioned because there was a man when I was applying for Middlesex University at Dubai. So as I messaged them from the advert I saw them on, so the man sent me an like a message on WhatsApp. I was asking for my passport. Then I was like, I'm not with my passport, like that is not ready. So he was not asking for my old passport if I had any, that I can use that one, and then when I get the new one, I can replace it. Is that possible?
So this is basically specific to the university you want to apply to. And to be very clear, I wanted to know if there is um, you know, I know Middlesex is in London, UK, but I know they also have affiliations to campuses in Dubai and all that. So just for academic purposes, but whatever document is being required depends on the university in question.
Okay. The my next question, like between, because I've been hearing some, like let's say rumors about some countries. So I wanted to ask you like for your advice, like between Canada, UK, and US, that which would be preferable for like an average kind of family to apply for.
This is a very good question, and I get this question a lot. Now, my brother, what I would say is that these are very great countries, and if you had a Canadian, a US, and a UK visa, then we can have a conversation where to move to. But now that you are yet to apply, you don't put your eggs in one basket. The most important, if you think about, relocating to any of these countries, the conversation should be about how do I get admission, how do I get scholarship, how do I get my visa. Now, if you have three visas, then we can have a conversation which place will help you.
All right, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that question. So, Mr. Fred, Charles has asked this question in the comment section. So he said, I was acting as an international student in the US or Canada, studying for the undergraduate course, and at the end of the study, decided to further for master's. Are you required to go back to your home country to get the visa or still be there in the country of study? So that's his question. Did you get the question?
Immigration processes work differently for these two countries. So let's talk about the US. Now, when you get your visa to come and study, let's say a bachelor's degree in the US, and then afterwards, when you enter the system, your stay is dependent on a document we call the I-20, not not your visa. And so if you want to go to a different school, like for example, when I came with a first master's degree and then I wanted to pursue another program, I did not have to necessarily go in for another visa, but just have to get an updated I-20, which will reflect my current program I'm going to study. So in the US, so far as you're not traveling, you have to just get an updated I-20 to reflect whatever program you're studying and all.
Okay, thank you so much for your response. So because of time, and we're trying to make sure that we close on time and everything, we're going to just take maybe one or two questions and then we'll be done for the session. So the person's hand here we have is okay, Jessica. Okay, Jessica, I think that was a mistake. So apparently there's no one here raising. Okay, we have Shitashi. Shitashi, your question, please.
Okay. Based on scholarship, I don't know if this has been discussed because I came in late. Sorry for that, but based on
It's okay.
scholarship, are there like basic exams to be taken to approve or to make your scholarship sure based on any school or something?
That will specifically depend on the program and the institution you want to apply to. So, some universities will compulsorily require that you sit for a GRE or GMAT, and for undergrad, either an SAT or an ACT. This is not generic to every program. There are some universities, even if you sit for the GRE, it is not required for you to upload it. So they wouldn't base your admission or scholarship acquisition on that. So it depends on what program. Requirements may differ from program to program, even in the same university. So you check the program you want to pursue, you go through their requirements, and based on what they require, you produce that when you're applying.
Okay. Okay. Thank you,
Oh,
Mr. Fred, for your answers.
okay. Sorry, because I've literally gone through a lot of scholarship programs, and there was one that caught me, but I want to get a confirmation from you that as I am like if I get admitted, that there is this F2 from is it my visa applications based on my family members, that if I get this scholarship, I could actually add them to it, to the point that they told me that if my siblings are still in high school, that they can find a public high school in the that was I think US in the country, and then give them like schools there to schooling for free. And for my parents, if they are still working, that they can get a job there for free. Is that possible in any means?
So let's clarify things. When, as a student, to study in the US, you either go in for any of these three categories of visas, either an F1. Now, if you have a dependent, which is either your spouse or kids, they can go in for the F2. So while you as a student is having an F1 visa, your dependent will have an F2. The second category of visa is for M1, which are meant for people who are coming for vocational and technical programs. So either pilot program, being a mechanic, even barbering, manicure, pedicure, those kind of programs going for M1. Now, if you're a dependent, you can join the primary applicant as an M2. Now, the third category of visa as a student could be what we call the J1. Now, if you're dependent, you can go in for J2. Now, if you are a dependent of a student, at the moment as we speak, if you are on F2, which means your primary applicant was the F1 student, then you are not required to work in the US. If you're on M1, you have opportunity to work 20 hours on campus, but the M2 is not allowed to work in the US. So basically, these are the explanations.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Am I permitted to ask more questions?
Okay, sorry. Unfortunately, due to time, we need to keep to time. Okay, so I will say, any other questions will be directed to Mr. Fred personally, maybe through his socials. Okay, thank you so much for your questions, Chitachi. I really appreciate your questions. So here we have one last question we'll be taking because of time from the comment section. So it's a question from Solomon Tuchuku. Please, can I get an athlete scholarship as an undergraduate student? Mr. Fred, the last question.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a very, very good question. Yes, there are a lot of institutions that give scholarships for for sports and not necessarily academic. So America is not America has something we call the American football. What we call football, they call soccer, but they have their American football. Now, if you're very good at it, there's a high possibility that you get good scholarship. If you can run, if you can play soccer or what we call football, yes, there are a lot of universities that offer scholarships for you to pursue an undergraduate program.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the response. So Chuku Solomon, I hope you answered your question. Okay, great. Someone asked again if it's possible to keep in touch with Miss Joanne. Yes, of course. I'll drop my Instagram handle here in the comment section. Thank you so much. So I will hand over to the other speaker, Mr. Kilani. Thank you so much, Mr. Fred, for your responses. Really appreciate your insightful thoughts and responses. Thank you so much. Mr. Kilani, over to you.
All right. First of all, I want to appreciate Mr. Frederick for taking out time to answer all the questions and to participate in this mini training session, and for all the insightful information he has given to us. Thank you so much, sir, for granting this request. We are so grateful, and I want to appreciate each and every one of you for taking out time to join. And unfortunately, we can't go further because it's already so late right now, and I want you guys to be expectant for part 2 of this mini training session. And in this part 2, by the grace of God, we'll be having Talk to Sam on this on the session. If you know Talk to Sam, if you don't know him, go to Instagram and search for Talk to Sam. He does videos, and just like Mr. Fred, he does a lot of things for people who want to study abroad in Canada, US, and it gives a lot of insightful information. It will be a great session with Dr. Sam. So be expectant for part 2 of this mini training session. Just stay in touch. If you don't have our contacts, I've written that down on the comment section. You can reach out to me so that when we are hosting part 2, you will be informed. And please go subscribe to the Fred Effect on YouTube channel. On his YouTube, go to YouTube, search for the Fred Effect, and you'll see his channel there. He's doing a lot there, and I'm sure you benefit from it. Go to Instagram also, search for the Fred Effect, and you also see him there. Follow him on all platforms and stay updated on what he's sharing there. Who knows, you might get information that will change your life for good. So that being said, we have come to the end of this mini training session. And if you want to join UPG, if you want to be part of the UPG